When a person looks at the sky, what do they really see? Is it only the stars, or a much deeper enigma? Why does the universe have just the right order for life to emerge? Why do the laws of physics work so delicately? What would happen if gravity were a little stronger, or if atoms were unstable? More importantly, what does it mean that we are even able to ask these questions? This astonishing harmony between the structure of the universe and life has been at the center of human thought for centuries. However, modern science has begun to address this question for the first time with numbers, measurements, and equations. The picture that emerges is striking. The universe operates within a narrow range that allows for the existence of life, down to the smallest detail. At this point, at the intersection of science and philosophy, the conceptual framework called the Anthropic Principle comes into play. While the Anthropic Principle tries to explain why the universe appears tailored for us, it also questions what it means to be an observer. In its simplest form, the Anthropic Principle expresses the following idea. The fact that we can observe the universe implies that the properties of the universe must allow for the existence of observers. In other words, it is not surprising that the universe appears suitable for us, because otherwise we would not be here to ask these questions. This approach does not necessarily claim that the universe was designed especially for conscious beings. Rather, it emphasizes that our observations inevitably involve a selection effect. Only in universes where life is possible can life exist and reflect upon the universe. Although this idea may seem simple at first glance, it is backed by a deep historical and scientific background. While traces of anthropic thought go back to ancient philosophy, its modern development took shape with the Great Transformation in cosmology in the 20th century. The discovery that the universe is expanding, the Big Bang model, and the precise measurements of physical constants have shown that the universe stands not by chance, but by extremely delicate balances. Especially in the 1970s, Brandon Carter systematically introduced the concept of the Anthropic Principle, arguing that the relationship between the universe's properties and the existence of observers is too fundamental to be ignored. A critical distinction emerges at this point. The most cautious interpretation of the Anthropic Principle is generally termed the weak form. The Weak Anthropic Principle states that the observed properties of the universe must be compatible with conditions that permit the existence of observers. This is not a claim of causality. We do not exist because the universe has these properties. Rather, we observe a universe with these properties because we can exist. The principle serves more as a methodological warning against faulty conclusions, rather than to produce scientific predictions. Instead of asking, why is the universe like this? It raises the question, in which universes could beings capable of asking this question emerge? But anthropic thinking does not stop there. A more ambitious interpretation asserts that the fundamental properties of the universe must be such as to allow for conscious life to arise, known as the Strong Anthropic Principle. This approach has sometimes been interpreted as meaning that the universe is aimed at life or that life is inevitable. However, such interpretations are not a necessary consequence of the principle. The Strong Anthropic Principle establishes a logical connection between the structural properties of the universe and the emergence of conscious beings. It does not require a purposeful or teleological understanding of the universe. Nevertheless, it is clear that the lines between science and philosophy noticeably blur at this point. The main issue at the heart of the Anthropic Principle debates is the phenomenon known as fine-tuning. The values of physical constants span extremely narrow ranges that make life possible. If the force of gravity were a bit stronger, stars might collapse rapidly. If it were weaker, they might never form. A different value for the electromagnetic force could destabilize atoms and render chemistry impossible. Faced with this picture, one cannot help but ask, is the universe truly fine-tuned, or does it only appear so because that's how we perceive it? The anthropic perspective does not provide a definitive metaphysical answer to this question. It reminds us that the perception of fine-tuning is inseparable from our condition as observers. Universes that do not support life cannot be observed, therefore, only conditions that allow life seem special to us. At this point, the discussion deepens and raises the question of whether the universe is this way by chance or necessity. The anthropic principle does not decisively side with either possibility. It simultaneously leaves open the chances of coincidence, necessity, or yet undiscovered deeper physical laws. This uncertainty is not a weakness, but rather a result of speaking with an awareness of its limits. One approach that places the fine-tuning problem in a broader context is the multiverse hypothesis. According to this view, there are innumerable universes, each with different physical constants, rather than a single one. Our universe is just one of the rare examples within this broad set of possibilities that supports life. In such a scenario, the fact that our universe appears suitable for us ceases to be surprising, just as the winning number in a large lottery seems special. However, the inability to directly observe these multiple universes also brings discussions about the scientific status of this approach. While these discussions are often conducted from an anthropocentric perspective, the anthropic principle actually encompasses all forms of life. In universes with different physical constants, life forms based on biochemistries we cannot even imagine could theoretically exist. Nonetheless, it should be remembered that any form of life requires a certain order, stability, and complexity. Therefore, anthropic limits do not completely disappear. They merely change form. Another often misunderstood aspect of the anthropic principle is its connection with ideas of God, destiny, or cosmic purpose. The principle itself offers no affirmative or negative answer to such metaphysical questions. The anthropic principle does not attempt to explain the meaning of the universe. It focuses on understanding why the universe is observable. Therefore, theological or existential interpretations lie beyond its scientific framework. From a scientific perspective, the strongest criticisms of the anthropic principle focus on its limited capacity to produce predictions. The principle does not generate new experimental results or numerical values on its own. Nevertheless, its proponents argue that the anthropic principle's main function is not to halt science, but to clarify which types of explanations are meaningful. Rather than being an excuse for unexplained constants, it offers a conceptual compass that prevents us from asking the wrong questions. With all these aspects, the anthropic principle builds a bridge between scientific equations and humanity's existential questions. The universe's suitability for us is not a privilege, but an outcome that has arisen under certain conditions. Humanity is not a special entity at the center of the universe, but a natural product of its structural features. In the end, the anthropic principle does not offer a definitive single answer to why the universe is the way it is. However, it provides a powerful intellectual key for understanding the delicate relationship between the universe and life. The fact that the universe appears tailored for us perhaps reminds us most of this. While we look at the universe, through its own conditions, is looking back at us. For more content like this, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like the video, and share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the universe is truly fine-tuned, or do we just think we're special? I look forward to reading your comments.